Hello, hello, happy 4th of July. It happens to be my favoriteest of holidays because it's all about freedom, and freedom is one of my personal top values. Freedom, oneness, joy, adventure. I love these things. So anyways, I thought I'd post a couple of questions here that might give you some inquiry on a beautiful Monday, 4th of July here, and things that can open you up to greater personal freedom. So the very first is, what would you like freedom from? What do you require independence or liberation from? So take a moment and to think, where are those areas that you feel like you're being contained? And do some kind of self-excavation, if you will. What are the ways in which you are feeling contained, and what is there that you can really do beginning today to begin to change that? So much of our world is actually not the world that we're experiencing as it is, but our perception of the way it is. And so that's the key to unlock this personal key to freedom, is what am I perceiving here that is limitation, that it isn't really limiting. Viktor Frankl, of all books, Man's Search for Meaning, he was stuck in a concentration camp. And I can't imagine anything more confining than being in a concentration camp. And he's got that great quote that the greatest liberty is the liberty to be able to choose our attitude. The greatest freedom is our ability to choose our freedom in any moment. So Kiefer's choosing to be free and wild up there. So what attitude can you assume right now? Even amidst the feeling that you are trapped or that your rights are being taken away from you, what is the attitude that you can adopt right now and begin to live into and structure your actions, your next right actions around that freedom? The second thing, and this is a big one, if there was one thing, if I was queen for a day and could eliminate one thing in the world, it would be around judgment. So much of that is our personal judgment. And I like to think of this one as one of the greatest top 5 regrets of the dying. The very number one is, I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself and not the life that I thought others expected from me. How much of this is a self-imposed prison? We're showing up because we're concerned about what other people might think. And what if you did the thing, made the choice for you, and it actually turned out to be good for other people? It reminds me, hi Henry, when I made the big decision to move from Florida to Colorado, my mom was in an independent living facility, and she was my number one cheerleader and such a huge part of my life, and my greatest just everything. My mom was everything, truly. But I had this inner calling, and I wanted to move to Colorado. So it was a big choice to leave my mom and move here on this whim. I didn't really know anybody and didn't have a reason to be out here aside from the heart calling that called me out here. And it was the greatest decision ever, because it ended up giving my mom the freedom to make the same choice. She ended up following me 6 months later, and it was the best choice. She ended up passing away just shortly after she got here. But what a beautiful time we had here, and a liberating time for her and for me at the same time. So what choice have you been unwilling to make because you think by making the choice for yourself, you'd actually be infringing on other people's liberties or freedoms, or you feel like you need to support those coulda, shoulda, wouldas? How many places are we making choice based on obligation, the roles, identities that we've been holding ourselves up until now? When I speak of identity, it's such a big one that's coming up right now. The identity, maybe you want to make a purchase in your life. You want to buy a car, or do some house updates or things like that. What have you identified yourself as capable of having or earning? And so much of the lack and limitation that we're buying into is, once again, we're seeing ourselves as the one who, maybe I'm only one who only makes $50,000 and so I can't afford this car. But what would it take for you to outperform the identity that you've had up until now? And how is that old identity keeping you as prisoner and putting a glass ceiling on what it is that you can step into next, or what can you have, or what can you create. I love the word to out-create. What would it take for me to out-create the earnings or anything that I've created up until now? So life is always extremely continuing to evolve bigger and bigger. And so this next calling might actually be just the next bigger evolution of you and who you came to be. So how is it that we're creating our own lack and limitation there? Oftentimes we're judging ourselves as a certain part of ourselves, or maybe there's something we've done in the past that we're judging as it's like a judgeable offense, and we're feeling that and maybe hiding that away in shame or regret or something we've shoved within us, that if we would allow ourselves to come present again to those old feelings, that old thing, and recognize that even those seemingly failures or the detours that we've taken in life were they weren't failures, they weren't destinations in that failure at that time, but they were actually stepping stones in becoming the who you are now, this one that has this beautiful desire to have something bigger and fuller and something that never existed before. And so the third one, here's just another prompt, my third and final prompt for how you can find greater personal freedom, is to consider, what if, this one was kind of sparked because my neighbor passed away, and he was a recluse, and he was taken away 2 months ago. And it was just very sad for me to watch this story unfold, that he didn't have anybody in his life, and how he had pretty much encaged himself in his little life, living a lot inside his house next door. So if you had only 2 months to live, what is it that you would want to express? Are there amends that you would like to make to other people? Are there places you would like to go? And what are the experiences you would like to have before that your 2 months, 60 days is done? But consider those things. What it seems like if you've got that amount of time left, you would have the ability to make that happen, because you wouldn't have to second guess and go into the self-doubt and the shame and those old stories. It's just like, okay, we got to get this done. So with that same joie de vivre, if you will, tap into that, because you've got that within you now. Have that and make those decisions because they're available to you now. So anyways, this is just Kathy, just pondering life's great adventures here with my doggy, the liberty to be free. Here's Kiefer. His version of being free is to be able to be off leash. So if you are living life unleashed, what would that look like for you? I would love, why don't you drop a little message below. What would life unleashed look like for you? Anyways, this is me in the biggest heartfelt way, wishing you lots of peace and joy and freedom today. Take care, guys.